Welcome to the Atlas Talks with your host, Deborah Atlas. Billy Allman is a retired Navy SEAL and combat veteran of 3 wars. As a SEAL, Mr. Allman participated in numerous covert and overt operations around the world. His book, When the Bullet Hits Your Funny Bone, The Essence of a U.S. Navy SEAL, is a collection of stories about his time in U.S. Special Forces and how his comrades used their humor to cope with all the tragic events and horrific sights which all Navy SEALs must face.
Good morning. This is another episode of the Atlas Talks, Engaging with Depression. And my guest this morning is Billy Allman, who is a former Navy SEAL. He is a former New Yorker from upstate New York, near where I used to live. And he is someone with a remarkable background, and he's written a book, and we'll talk about that as well. Let me tell you a little bit about Billy. You had a scholarship to Princeton, and instead of doing that, you signed on with the Navy to do underwater demolition. Wow. You were a Navy SEAL from 1969 to 1993. You were a combat veteran in 3 wars, and thank you very much for your service. Yeah. You were a naval special warfare operator and SEAL instructor. You're a former police officer, and I want to definitely talk with you about the transition from one to the other, because that's a big change. And you have conducted counterterrorism training for LAPD, and you also were in personal protection for the rock band Metallica. Now, that's a huge change. And you've also written a book. You've had a fascinating career. Your book is When the Bullet Hits the Funny Bone, The Essence of a U.S. Navy SEAL. And you've said yourself that it's short, funny stories. It's not politically correct, and I like that a lot. I'm not very politically correct. And so we've got a lot to talk about. Thank you so much for being my guest this morning.
It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
You bet. As someone who's written a book, and I know what that takes, what compelled you to write a book about your experiences?
Well, I thought a lot about it at first, and I figured that guys with my kind of background, or any military guy that's been in combat, police officers, first responders, firefighters, the police and things like that, that choose those kind of professions, I don't think they want to sit down and open up a book about combat or, going out and arresting people and things like that. So what I did was I wrote down all the humorous sides of everything, the pranks we would pull on each other as a safety valve, if you will, to keep from going crazy. And I thought that would be a better way to go with the book. My wife calls it the toilet book because it's short chapters. So it is short, and all the stories in it are true. I changed all the names of the guys that were perpetrators except mine. And some of the guys said, "No, put my name in there." I said, "No, we're not going to do this payback stuff until we die. It's going to stay." And I changed the names of a couple of locations because those are still classified. But other than that, I kept it true in form. And I thought the humorous aspect would be a better way to go.
You've called it gallows humor. And you want to say a little bit about that? I know what you mean, but maybe not everybody does.
Yeah, we tend to laugh. People that are in high stress situations, and we witness a lot of gore under a lot of stress and things like that. And we tend to laugh at it, things that other people who haven't experienced that in their life may think it's inappropriate. I remember I was at a high class function where I had to wear my dress uniform, and one of the guests introduced me and said that, Billy Allman's been through quite a bit. Maybe you want to tell us one of your stories, and I did. So I picked a funny story. What I believed to be funny was about a guy, and this was in Vietnam, And he was brand new to the platoon. And as new guys, they put you like at rear security, so you're not going to mess up too bad. So their mission was to capture an enemy combatant for interrogation. And so they captured him, and they passed him back all the way in the platoon for rear security. They told him to take care of him. And so that verbiage could have been different, but it wasn't. And what happened was they get to the extraction point and they're saying, pass up the prisoner. And Pete was going, well, I don't have a prisoner. What do you mean you don't have him? He goes, you told me to take care of him. So I did. I thought it was a test, So, and the people that were at the function were saying, that's not really a funny story. And I go, well, it really is a funny story. People can relate to it, that are in high stress things, but obviously you people can't. And so that was the end of my storytelling at that function.
And probably the people involved thought it was funny too at the time.
I mean, there was a lot of snickering going on and stuff, but it's just, to me, that always struck me as funny.
I love it. As I said, I'm not necessarily politically correct myself, so I do get it. But you bring up a good.
Oh yeah.
You bring up a good point. I mean, you've been in 3 wars. You've been in serious combat situations. You've been in Vietnam. You've been in Panama. You were in El Salvador. There's a lot of high stress that goes with what you do and what you have done. How did you all deal with that at the time? Or did you just simply compartmentalize it and put it to the side so you could get the job done?
It's different for every individual. And I think it comes from how you were raised and your background. But it is different. We talk about it, as soldiers, but everybody handles stress in a different way. And some of us are similar, some of us are not. But the worst thing you can do is keep it inside you. But in combat, they're just guys that you're sent on a mission to go destroy. War to me is the greatest waste of a natural resource, and that's human beings. Anything else can be replaced. It's very difficult to create. It's very easy to destroy. And I always felt that war should be a last resort. Having said that, I always felt that, when you're brand new and you go through all this training, you want to see if it works. You really want to go to combat. You want to go out there. You want to do your job. You want to perform. You're a loving patriot of your country. But when it comes down to it, what happens is it's all about the guy next to you, and you want to protect him at all costs. And so the bells of freedom don't really ring. It's all about protecting your brothers and your sisters in some case, in other units. So that becomes your priority. And those are the people you'll be closer to than any family member you'll ever have because of what you experience together. And to deal with it, you also, you talk about it with each other, you joke about it with each other. I remember there was a time we were in combat and we got opened up on, surprise, but we got opened up on by the enemy and they were shooting at us like crazy. And the guy that was next to me, Mike, we both dove for the same tree to hide behind. And I'm pushing him away. I said, this is my spot. And we're shooting. And he's pushing me back. This is my spot. That tree was only 4 inches in diameter.
Oh, my. Yikes.
So we're laughing about that. All the bullets are going through it, but we're laughing about that, like, okay, this tree can protect us.
Now that's gallows humor.
Yeah. It is crazy at times, and you do laugh at inappropriate times that it strikes you as funny, I'll tell you another story. We were sent on a mission to ambush an enemy in Vietnam. A boat was coming down with 2 enemy soldiers in it that were going to be meeting up with a larger force. And they supposedly had some information about one of our bases, not a SEAL base, but an Army base. So we were sent to interdict, which is a politically correct word of saying we're going to go kill them.
Right.
And we're all sitting in the water up to our necks, and we're along the riverbank, and we're waiting for them to come down in their little boat, wooden dugout called a sampan. But anyway, we're waiting there for hours, and you get cold, but it's all self-discipline to wait quietly and listen. And noise travels down the river, so you can hear it. And so we heard them coming, and we opened up on them. And the thing about shooting in water is there's a lot of spray going up. I don't know if you ever shot a weapon in the water, but bullets create a lot of spray.
Yeah.
So you can't see your target. So you got to stop shooting. So we saw that the one guy was dead, floating face down, but the other one was swimming across the river going to the other side. And so we'd start shooting at him, and then we'd have to stop, and then we'd have to shoot again and have to stop. And he's getting further away from us, and we're like, we got M60 machine guns, M16s, stoners, and that shoot 1,000 rounds a minute. And we're putting all these bullets out to kill this guy. And we're just not getting them. And he finally makes it to the other side, and it's all mud and muck. And he's waist deep in it, trying to force himself through it. And he turns around, realizing that he's not going to go anywhere, and looks at us, starts yelling at us in Vietnamese, pounded his chest, and then stuck his arms out straight, from his sides, and waiting for us to shoot him. And our officer said, "Cease fire." And he just started, everybody's applauding him, because he made it through all of that to the other side. He looked at us like we were all insane, I guess, but then he disappeared into the jungle. We let him go. And we figured, what the hell, through all of that, and he still made it. God must want him to survive for whatever reason, but that was a lot of bullets to survive through. And so he got away.
Boy, can you imagine the story of that, him telling his kids, That's amazing.
Yeah, those SEALs couldn't hit crap.
Well, it brings up another, that in the midst of horrific situations and stress and killing and murder, that humanitarianism can rear its head. It's like the story from World War II on was it Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, where everybody stopped and all the soldiers on both sides, shook hands. And
that was World War I.
Yeah.
And that was World War I, the Christmas.
Yeah. And so were there other situations that you were in where humanitarianism showed up unexpectedly?
You bring up a really great point, but I'm not so sure it's humanitarianism as much as it is respect. The enemy is fighting for everything that he believes is right and just. He's defending his home, and you're fighting for everything you believe is right and just. So tell me who's wrong.
Yeah.
And you're just guys, or women and guys, or women and women, and kids, because kids get involved in combat plays too. And you're fighting for what you believe is right and just, and you can't justify it. You really can't. All you can do is owe the respect of killing the enemy as quickly as possible, and as many of them as possible. That's your job. As soon as you sit down and start to humanize them, that's when things like the Christmas truce of World War I will come about, and you realize he's just a regular guy. He's got a family. The worst thing about killing someone is, you're killing somebody's son, somebody's brother, sister, mother, father, uncle, cousin, that's who you're killing. And the tragedy of war is that this is being done by sane people, and not insane, not crazy or anything like that. And every day you have to go to sleep with that on your mind. And if you dwell on it and, like some soldiers, they'll pull out the cat that you capture will pull out a picture of their family. I don't want to see that crap. I don't, I have a family too, and so do my brothers. Some of them you shot and wounded. So I don't want to see any of that stuff, because now you're starting to become something that I can't resent, and I can't do my job properly with. So I don't want to hear about your mom and your kids or anything like that. Leave them out of it. You chose to be a soldier, so this is how we're going to treat you as a soldier treats a soldier.
It brings to mind, there are a number of veterans have gone back to, decades later, to the countries where they fought. Have you done that? And if so, what impact did that have?
I never went back and to Vietnam, and I never will. And to me, I was 18 years old at the time, and I saw so much and did so much that anything about Vietnam I could care less about. And this brings back my point again about war being the greatest waste, because now it's a tourist place. Everybody can go there and have a good time, and sit back and drink burrito or whatever you want to do, So there's your war, So what was that about? And so anyway, but in El Salvador, when I was there during the war, I spent 2.5 years straight in El Salvador. I wasn't married at the time. And that place, the draft age is 15 years old. And how they draft you is really clever. The government will go to a basketball court and they'll put out a party and sodas, food, and stuff like that. And then everybody that's of eligible age, they surround it and they say, get on the trucks. Well, the guerrillas do the exact same thing at that time when I was there. So that's how they recruit. And when I try to talk to them about why they're fighting the war, I said, do you know why you're fighting? And they said, no, we don't. I go, you're fighting to prevent the spread of communism in your country. I go, do you know what communism is? And no, I don't. So I started to explain it to them, and they thought, hey, communism sounds pretty good.
Oh my!
On its surface, yeah, it's a utopia, but it never is.
Right. Right.
Rich get richer. You'll always be poor. You won't have nothing except what the government gives you.
Right.
Kind of like we're heading right now. But anyway, it's just, once I gave them the education, that took me a good 2 hours to educate them about it. They realized that this isn't something we want, and at least now they know what they were fighting for, because before they were just fighting because, they were drafted and the government says you owe us these many years and stuff like that. So I had an 8-year-old that was coming along on a patrol in El Salvador. And these, I can say this now because so much time has passed, so it's not classified. But during the time of El Salvador, you were an advisor, you weren't on combat missions.
Right.
You could do training missions, but you couldn't do combat missions. So that was cool. You just had another way of verbing it, but so that people wouldn't get upset back at home. But anyway, to get back to my story, I was taking a patrol up into the mountains in El Salvador. There was supposed to be a guerrilla encampment up there, and we were going up there to ambush them. And we were patrolling along, and I noticed this kid way in the back. And I said, what the hell? Is he from a village or something? So I went back and I talked to him, and I says, what are you doing here? And he said that he's with the patrol. He wants to fight. I go, you get your butt out of here. I'm being a little bit clean here, but
I understand.
I go, this is no place for you. And I said, how old are you? He goes, I'm 8 years old. I go, definitely get out of here. So he turned around, and then I started walking back to the front of the patrol again. And I was talking to the officer next to me. I said, do you know this kid that's behind us that was walking with us? And he goes, yeah, I know. His family, his mother and father were killed by the guerrillas. They were tortured in front of him. And they tried to recruit him along with us. And but he ran away. He didn't want to be a guerrilla. And I said, oh, okay, that makes sense then. But then I turned around to look back to reflect on the kid, and I saw he's there again. And I go, you little crip. So I went up to him and I kicked him in the ass as hard as I could. And he went flying, and he's a little bit crying now, and he's hurt, and he's rubbing his butt. And I said, get out of here. This is no place for a child. I go, you can get killed here. And he goes, I don't care. And I'm coming. And you can't stop me from coming. I'm going to be here. And he picked up one of the M60 gunners' ammo boxes. And he goes, I'm going to help.
Oh, my God. Oh.
And I just said, okay, I see how this is going to be. You stay next to me. Don't carry no ammo box or nothing, but you stay next to me. Wherever I go, whatever I do, you stand next to me. And I said, if I have to take a bullet for this kid, I'll take it. I don't care. But this 8-year-old kid ain't going to die on my patrol.
Yeah.
But we did our job and everything, and I had him dig a little pit, a little foxhole pit to hide in. And after it was all done, he went back with us. And I talked to the base commander about him, and I said, there's a kid up there. And he goes, oh, yeah, Eduardo. We know all about Eduardo. He's always coming to go on missions. I go, don't take him on missions, please. Don't do it. It's not good for him. He's seeing real bad things, and that's going to change him in life later on. He goes, well, die now, die later. What's the difference? And that was the mindset, so I couldn't do any more about it. And so I let that go.
Oh, my God.
But that was the El Salvadorian War. And to see kids 15 years old, that they call me Tio Momito, Uncle Billy. And because this is what I did.
Yeah.
A little bit of shame, but this is what I did.
There is no shame in being a human being with another human being.
Well, hear the story first and then make a judgment. But okay. I know what I was doing when I was 15 years old. It wasn't carrying a gun looking for bad guys to go kill. And so I took them out. I would get them drunk. I would take them to the local whorehouse, get them laid, because I didn't think they were going to experience any of that in their lifetime, But I figured that's what I would do for them. So that's how I got Tio Momito, Uncle Memo, and I would do that for them. And that was it, so, but my heart really felt bad for these kids, and you look at them, they're 15, and after combat, they take a change, and you see the change in the individual that goes through combat. And they're not the same person that they were before. The innocence is gone. They realize how serious it is. They realize that this can be their last time on the planet. They realize a lot of things after that, and they start to cherish little things. You see them out there picking flowers and stuff, and looking at them and stuff. It's just, yeah, I understand what he's doing. You're trying to enjoy the beauty of life in that moment, because it's so thin, that thread that holds you from life and death. Yeah.
And we've seen that for decades with veterans, the veterans who came back from Vietnam, the veterans who came back from Iraq, and how it changed them, and the extremely rocky transition that they had to make back to civilian life. How was the transition for you when you finally came back? Because when you came back, you were married and you had kids, I think, at that point when you retired. But did you retire immediately and then immediately become a police officer? Was there a time of transition? What was that like for you?
It's funny to me anyway. But they've got things now, like in the SEALs, and I'm sure in the Special Forces it was the same way. that if you went to go talk to a shrink about your problems, you were done. You were just done.
And there's that
you couldn't
stigma
be a
still.
SEAL.
There's still that stigma still, although it's beginning to change in the law enforcement industry.
Yeah, and I think it's starting to change now in the military as well, and I'm glad that it is, because I'll talk about the transition in a minute, but what are you going to talk to, and who are you going to talk to about what you experienced, all that ugliness, I mean, and it is very ugly. If you ever saw the movie Private Ryan,
Yes.
Saving Private,
Yes.
that scene on the beach with the torn up bodies and stuff like that, that's what guys look at on a daily basis. And you start to become numb to that. And you have to. Or if you don't, you're going to go insane. So you become numb to all of that. And it changes you mentally. I don't know about physically, but it does change you mentally. And those thoughts of everything that you see, it's really ugly, and it takes you to dark places. And sometimes, like when you lose your buddies, you blame yourself for being alive. Why him, not me? You'd rather it was you than it was your buddy. And so that sticks with you too, and that plays on your mind, and you rehearse all of it. You're reliving it all in your mind again and again and again. What could I have done different that wouldn't cause him to lose his life? You can't go there, but that's where you're going anyway. And you're trying to absolve yourself from any type of blame, but you always blame yourself. You're always hard on yourself. You're always critical of what you've done and things that you think you could have been better at. But the transition to leave, coming out of the military, I was at a loss at first of what it was that I was doing and what I was going to do. And I thought, well, what the hell? I was a SEAL for 23 years. Nobody needs door gunners after the war. And, so what can I possibly do? So law enforcement was one of my choices that I thought would be probably a natural choice to go into, learning about the law and enforcing the law. And there it was a little bit different, because now you're going after bad guys, but you're not going after them to kill them. You're going after them to take care of, get them off the streets, get rid of the bad guys again. But you're going after them pretty much because they hurt somebody else, and you want to make that victim know that the streets are safe again for you, and you don't have to worry about it. But those things, it's a uniform again, so it's kind of like a military situation again. So to me, that was a natural procession for me to go into, is to go into the military. But when they started teaching pressure point control techniques and stuff like that, I already had many years of Aikido. So I had, and I really was good at what I did. And they were asking me how I would take down, a violent person that was trying to not be arrested, was resisting arrest so strong. I said, well, I went up to the instructor and I just put him down, and I went in and I almost broke his arm. And he's slapping the carpet, and I said, this is what I would do to him. And he goes, you do that, it's a violation of the 14th Amendment or his Fourth Amendment rights and all this.
Oh my God.
So I had to really study the law to know what I could do, what I couldn't do, and things like that. So it became fun. Being a police officer is a great job. And are there idiots out there? Yes, of course. There are idiots in every freaking unit. And I call idiots are the people that let that badge go way out to their head, that I'm a cop,
Yeah.
But most of the time I was letting people go. I would just give them warnings. I just, don't do this stuff unless they had a warrant that they needed to be arrested for. Then I wouldn't let them go. But, most of the time I was just counseling a lot of times. And being a police officer, to me, is 10% tragedy and 90% laughing your ass off
Tell me
because
about
you see,
that. Tell me about
oh,
that.
you'll see people do stupid things. I pulled up behind a car. There was sparks coming out the back of it. I didn't know what happened at first, but as I got closer, I could see he had no rear wheels. So I'm putting my lights on and the flasher and my siren and everything, you know. Finally, he pulls over. It ain't like he can outrun me anywhere, but he pulls over. I get out of the car. There's 6 guys in the car. They're all drunk beyond belief. The front tires were also gone. I don't know how long he's been driving on this car, but it's just the rims he's driving on, and it's like he's going like 10 miles an hour, and these sparks are flying everywhere. And I said, driver's license and registration. He goes, how about just taking me to jail? Because
Here's an easy arrest.
so I said, I still got to do the sobriety test on you and everything, you know. And then his partner next to him goes, what was your probable cause, officer? I go, so,
See,
I said,
no wheels that'll start it.
So we're all laughing, but and sometimes it's just fun like that, and you have a great time, and then sometimes it's domestics are the ones we don't like going. I don't know any cop that likes going to a domestic. Number one, you have to be a psychiatrist. That's one of your requirements as a police officer, even though you're not qualified. But you'll find yourself counseling people with bad marriages, bad kids with bad marriages, you know, and you don't want to be there because you should always go with a backup to a domestic. And if you don't, you're crazy. You go in there by yourself, you're going to get hurt. I remember one time I went to a domestic, and it was with neighbors. And it was 6 women, and 3 of them had butcher knives in their hands.
That's the most dangerous of all, women with knives.
And I walk in there into the house, you know, and I called for backup, but
yeah,
I heard the screaming. I figured somebody's going to get hurt bad because I saw the knives through the front door. And so I walked right in, and then all these women came together, and it was about her husband having an affair with the next door neighbor's wife, and it was big. And she's going to cut this lady up, and the other one's going to defend herself, cut her up. I stepped between the 2 of them. As I did that, my sergeant had just walked in and saw me. I didn't have my gun out or nothing. You know, I just said, will you lovely ladies please demonstrate yourselves as lovely ladies and allow me to just really listen to both sides. Put those knives down because they scare me. You know, I'm really worried about you hurting me with those. This ain't for you. This ain't for you. I go, can you just put it down? Okay, we'll put it down and then we'll talk. My sergeant goes, you are the most insane guy I've ever seen. He goes, why didn't you wait? I says, wait for what? One of them, they're going to start stabbing each other. And then it would have been a bloody free-for-all all over the place. So I'm sorry I didn't wait.
That's it's kind of a reverse psychology kind of thing, kind of along the lines of somebody told me years ago that if somebody's yelling at you, start speaking extremely softly because they'll have to stop in order to hear you.
That's right. And that is so true. It does work. And it worked there. And thank God they all did, you know, and it was just, what a situation that was. But it got resolved, you know, and nobody wanted to press charges against the other. They just, you know, now she just said, I don't want to see your husband no more, and I don't want you touching my husband. And I just, oh, man. So I said, please don't make me come back here. I really don't want to come back here, you know. So it's always like that, you know, please don't make me come back, you know. But sometimes you do come back. And then you see the kids, too, on the domestics. This one kid was a teenager, 16, feeling his oats. His father was deployed away overseas, and the mother couldn't control the son. So we went, my partner and I went to this domestic call, and I'm talking to the mother, and my partner grabs his son and goes into the next room, and we're all hearing what's going on, and he starts slapping the shit out of this kid and telling him, he goes, "You ever disrespect your mother again, you'll see me again. If you ever do this again, you don't start listening. I want your mother to call me." And the mother went along with it. And I just said, that was just so wrong, and I talked to my partner about it. And I said, that wasn't a good deal. That was cool.
Yeah.
If that was my son, I tell you what, I'd come back, I'd hunt you down. I mean, whatever my son's doing, not listening to his mother, hunt you down.
Yeah.
And he said, sometimes, he had 20 years on the department already, and I just started. And he said, sometimes you got to go outside the book. And I go, well, maybe for you, but not for me. And I don't ever want to see that again. I really don't.
Yeah.
But never got a call back from that place, so I guess it worked. But he just tried to make his point. That sometimes a strong discipline is needed so that the kid doesn't go any further. Because he was clearly on a rampage. And he was FUing his mother and all this stuff. So it was pretty bad, but it still didn't warrant that. And a police officer crosses that line. What other line is he going to cross? So I don't abide by any of that stuff.
Yeah. I don't see excuses for violence for things.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. Go figure my back.
Yeah, well, there are a couple of questions that I want to ask you about. You've seen a lot of violence. You've seen a lot of ugliness.
Mm-hmm.
Have you kept your balance with that, both since after being a veteran for so long and after being on the police force? Because you've seen a lot. How have you kept your balance, and how has that affected you in your everyday life even now?
I lost my balance in my teenage years, 18, 19, and going into 20. I was a heavy drinker, and I don't do it anymore. And I could have been totally classified as an alcoholic. I would escape into booze. I would drink a bottle of Drambuie, which is, I was a kid, but I would drink a bottle of Drambuie every day so I could go to sleep. And that's what I was doing every day. I was a heavy drinker. And a good friend of mine, Bodkin, and he got killed in Vietnam, but he took my face one day and slammed it into the mirror in the bathroom and said, "Look at yourself." And I did look at myself. I looked like I was 50 years old, and I was only 19 at that time. And he says, "You got to stop this." Because I wasn't caring about anything anymore other than the people that were around me. I could care less. Life, death, who cares? I didn't expect to live as long as I did. I figured I'd be dead by 40 if I was lucky. So it didn't really matter to me, any of that stuff. So as far as balance goes, I struggled hard with a lot of things that I was doing. And then my first wife that I was married to, she had cancer and she died. And that was during the time right before El Salvador. That's why I stayed in El Salvador for 2.5 years. I didn't care again. And so I was having a hard time with all of that because I was always gone. And I was the most deployed SEAL. I had 17 deployments in 23 years.
Oh,
and
my.
that deployment is 6 months more. And so I was doing a lot of leaving all the time, because, and the reason is this: I don't want somebody taking a mission or going on a mission that I could go on. And that person gets killed, that's on me. And that's how I looked at it. That's why I didn't not volunteer for any mission that came up. I said, I'll take that, because I don't want somebody else dying for something I could be, you trust your own self, your training in yourself and things you've done and stuff like that. But the brand new guys coming up, you're going to get killed, and or maybe not, but that's how I thought. And that's why I always volunteered to go on deployments and take them. I'd come back and I said, put me in another, come back, put me in another, so you got a break of 6 months before you go on that next deployment, because you're training with that platoon for 6 months before you deploy overseas. So you get to know everybody's movement and stuff like that. But anyway, as far as I'll tell you,
was some of that, the continual volunteering for missions, was some of that because not only because of wanting to protect your brothers, but also because you didn't know what else to do with yourself?
Yeah, I didn't. I went and did things that I was good at, and that was it. And also, I was doing those missions a lot of the time because, hey, I don't know, maybe I had a death wish or whatever. I don't think I did at the time, but I really didn't know what the transition into next. I mean, my downtimes that I did have downtimes, I went into training departments to train up other SEALs. And then I realized these guys I'm training up are going into combat. I need to be there with them, so I didn't like going into training anymore, so even though I could pass on what I knew and how things were in those countries, and it still laid heavy on my mind that I want to be there to direct them. It's like the father over the sons, you just want to be there to help them. And a lot of the officers are young kids and stuff like that. So you want to look out for them and protect them and make sure that they're making wise choices and decisions and stuff like that while they're out there.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. So you're retired now. You live in Florida. And are you doing any consulting? Are you still involved at all with Navy anything, even though you're retired? Some people are, some people do.
Since I've been to Florida, well, actually Arizona to Florida, for the last 2 years, I've been doing nothing. I got hobbies. I design and work on crystal radios. I get in touch with my feminine side, and I do, I'll show you one here real quick. I do, don't laugh at me. This is what I do.
Oh, I love it. Can I order one, please? Though I love things.
Yeah. I throw rainbows when the sun hits it and everything.
Yeah, I love prisms. Those are great. Talk.
If my buddies could see me now.
Hey, listen, at least you're not knitting cozies,
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Good Lord. I'm glad I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got hobbies that I do, and to keep myself occupied my time, because creating is hard and destroying is easy. So I figure I'll try that for a while. And but anyway, yeah, that's right. And next time I meet a team guy, I'm going to say, he's going to tell me, "Oh, hey Billy, I love your crystals." Not that there's anything wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. Now on Amazon, I saw that you had not only your book, but which is When the Bullet Hits the Funny Bone, The Essence of a U.S. Navy SEAL, but you also have a Kindle. And is that a different version of your book, or is that another book entirely?
That's another funny book. It's called U.S. Navy SEALs and Their Unabashed Humor. And what I did was I put both books into one, and there's more stories in the second one, but I just combined the two of them.
Okay.
And I tried to get that other one, When the Bullet Hits Your Funny Bone. I tried to get that one off, but Amazon said no. So anyway, but the other one that I had published through Pippin Press, and let me tell you something. If you're into rejection, write a book.
I understand. Oh, I tell you, it ain't easy being a published author or getting published.
Oh, it is not. And I'll tell you, I got well past 200 rejections. So people out there think about writing a book, let me tell you, it's a challenge.
That's why I ended up doing self-publishing. I finally decided I had enough. I wanted the book out, so I understand.
Oh, yeah.
Are you working on another book, or do you have ideas for another book?
You know, my wife says I should write another one, but I'll always do humor. I'm not going to do anything serious. And I'd rather laugh than think about tragic things. But the humor aspect, I think, is always good to go with. I mean, some other guys I see on Amazon now are their books are following that vein, and like funny stuff my drill instructor says, and things like that for the Marines. And I'm sure that book is funny as heck, and I'd like to make a purchase of that one. But because I'd rather read funny stuff, and I'd rather laugh than just take life serious. I've been through enough serious stuff. I don't want to do it anymore. And my wife says that's my major problem. And don't get me wrong, I'll go here with that. I'm going to go this. I did do marriage counseling with my current wife, because I was always thinking, if I wasn't getting shot at, what's the big deal in life? Nobody's trying to take my life, so who cares? She goes, you can't think like that, because things in life are important. They may not be important to you as far as life and death, but they are important, and they're important to me. And I started thinking, okay, there's another side to this marriage stuff, So.
Yes, there's at least two sides.
And I'll tell you, it's been a roller coaster, but God love her. I met her after I got back from El Salvador. 2 weeks later, I wanted to marry her. And wow. She had a great sense of humor, beautiful eyes. And I didn't want to ask her because I didn't want her to think I was insane. But she ended up asking me. So, and that was like 2.5 weeks. She goes, so what? Are we going to get married or what? Is this just a game or something? And I said, I was going to ask you, but I was too scared. I thought you'd think I was a psycho or something like that. She goes, well, I could be a psycho too. So with that, I said, this is the girl for me. And no marriage is perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect marriage. I haven't seen one anyway. But, and I've seen a lot of guys in the teams have their clothes thrown out in the front lawn. And plus that one guy, I don't know if you read my book or not, but his wife put him in concrete.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
I haven't read that part yet, so I will get there.
Oh yeah. That was amazing. Anyway, he was deploying a lot too, and so she figured, well, you're not going anywhere. Threw a plastic sheet over his body and then dumped concrete all over him.
Oh my God, that's one way.
It's crazy. I tell you what, so marriages in the teens, I've encouraged my wife to write a book. I says, because there's a lot of women out there that will like to know what it's like to be married to a SEAL, and yeah. It is. It's just not easy. No marriage is easy, but being married to a SEAL, that just isn't easy. And wives of any military, if you get married to a military man, you are the unsung hero. You're the glue that holds everything together while that person is overseas doing their job. I can't send enough accolades out to women that marry guys in the military. It's not an easy job. You're taking care of the kids. You're taking care of the house. You're taking care of the bills. Food on the table every day. So that's on them. Plus your job. And my wife used to tell me, I used to look at she used to look at the news to see if she could catch a glimpse of me, and could she hear something went on someplace. And I said, don't do that. So she became a real estate agent and had her own career. She was good with that.
You know, there was a TV show called Army Wives that was very, very popular. I was glued to it while it,
Yeah.
and I think because it portrayed that side that people didn't know about and wanted to. I tell your wife I absolutely encourage her to write that book. It would be snapped up by so many people.
I know it would. And she's got a sense of humor that's warped as well, because, I've been struggling medically wise for things that I've done in the military and things that I was exposed to. But she's in the hospital and with me at my bedside. And one of the times I wasn't doing too well, and a doctor was in there with two of the nurses. And I'll always, I don't care. I'll always mess around. It's just my nature to do it. I don't care at whose expense it is, but I want to laugh.
Sure.
And so they hooked me up to the EKG machine and all this stuff, and she goes, hold still. And I started vibrating like I was going into a seizure. And she's going, oh my God. I go, you're shocking me. You're shocking me. She rips them all off. I got just. The doctor was laughing. The nurses weren't happy about it. My wife goes, maybe you want to kill him now.
I love it.
It got that humor, and they look at her like, what? That's her humor too. I said, she doesn't mean it. Do you?
Frickin' frack. Sounds like you guys are a good team.
Oh, we are. She saved my life 3 times doing CPR on me. So she must love me because she could have let me go.
Yeah, I understand. And I'm very glad of that.
Yeah.
We are out of time. I thank you so very much for being my guest. I hope that you come back. I'd love to talk with we could do 2 more things, 2 episodes just with all of your experiences and your thank you so very, very much. Is there anything else that you want people to know, whether it's about dealing with the emotionality of the aftermath of everything or anything?
Yeah, talk to people. Don't keep it inside. That was my biggest downfall because I kept all that pain inside. Talk to someone. Find someone who is a therapist in PTSD that has a lot of experience in PTSD. Find that person and do your research, your due diligence, and find them and talk to them. That's the best thing ever. It's hard to open up, but once you do, you'll be thankful you did.
It's hard for anyone dealing with depression to open up. As someone who lived with it for decades, I can tell you I got to be a master of hiding it, and many people have been. So easy, but you're right. Talking with someone who is a skilled professional is crucial. Thank you for saying that. And I want to plug your book for a second, Billy. When the Bullet Hits the Funny Bone, The Essence of a U.S. Navy SEAL by Billy Allman. And
do the other ones.
Give the title of the other one as well, the Kindle one.
Yeah. U.S. Navy SEALs and their unabashed humor.
I love
it. It's better than the first one.
I like it. I'll have to get that one. Thank you very, very much. I so appreciate your time and everything you said, and hopefully we can have you back again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.
Thank you.